exciting segment of today's program, our very first panel discussion. The topic, future-proofing schools, blending pedagogy with emerging technology. We are honored to be joined by a distinguished panel of thought leaders who will help us unpack these questions. Please note that the floor will be open for a Q&A session after the panel discussion, so we encourage you to share your questions and insights. And now let me introduce our esteemed panelists for the day. First up, I would like to invite on stage Dr. Carvalho, Principal of Delhi Public School, Bangalore East, with a postgraduate degree in education and psychology, as well as being a qualified special educator. Dr. Manila has an experience of 30 years as an educationist. She is currently a PhD research scholar with Annamalai University and is researching her thesis titled The Effect of Academic Adjustment and Parental Pressure on the Mental Health of Senior Secondary Students. She has been featured on many regional TV channels as an educationist and women achiever and has contributed articles to various journals and newspapers. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Dr. Manila, Principal of Delhi Public School, Bangalore East. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Next up, it gives me great pleasure to invite on stage Dr. Sarada Chandrasekaran, Director, Whitefield Global School, Bengaluru. She is a true veteran in the field of education with over 43 years of experience, including 3 decades as Principal and Director across premier institutions. An expert in both CBSE and state syllabi, Dr. Sarada is a recipient of multiple prestigious awards, including the Legend of Education 2024 and the Lifetime Achievement Award in K-12 education. She holds an honorary doctorate in ethical learning and is also a certified trainer from ISB, UNESCO and NCERT. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Dr. Sarada Chandrasekaran. We welcome you to the panel, ma'am. Next up, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Vamsheepriya Amar, Principal of MVJ International School. She is a stalwart in the field of education with an inspiring 27 years of experience. From being a beloved teacher to rising through the ranks as a coordinator, vice principal and now a dynamic principal, Ms. Amar has dedicated her career to empowering both teachers and students. She is known for her deep understanding of curriculum design, her commitment to experiential learning, and her drive to create impactful educational benchmarks. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Ms. Vamsheepriya Amar. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I would now like to invite on stage Dr. Reshma Ganesh, Founder, Principal and Campus Director, SSRVM Bangalore East. She is the Founder, Principal and Campus Director of SSRVM Bangalore East and is a visionary educationist with 25 plus years of leadership. Holding MA degrees in English and Psychology and MEd and an honorary doctorate, she has expanded SSRVM into a leading CBSE school with 3,500 plus students. As council member and academic director of SSRVM Trust, she mentors schools nationwide, aligning modern pedagogy with Indian values. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Dr. Reshma Ganesh. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. I will now request Ms. Ciny Thomas, Principal of Dayananda Sagar Public School, Bengaluru, to please join us on the stage. She holds an MA, B.Ed and currently pursuing a doctorate in education, brings over 23 years of experience in the education sector. Her background includes roles in international schools, Pearson Education Services and the Presidency Group of Institutions. She developed a 3-year program for mathematically gifted students and has conducted numerous workshops on mathematics pedagogy for educators and students. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. And shortly joining us will be Dr. Gayethri Devi, Principal of Little Flower Public School. She's on the way. She's stuck in slight traffic, so she'll be joining us shortly. Now over to the moderator of this panel discussion, Dr. Manila, to please take it forward.
Thank you so much. extending insight into how the technology can blend with pedagogy. And the topic for today's discussion is future-proofing schools, blending pedagogy with emerging technologies. We are living in an era where there is a lot of change in the educational system. Change evolves every day. Similarly, the technology also brings a lot of changes. So what the question arises today is the time-tested pedagogy, how we can merge with the emerging technologies. And today we have our eminent panelists here, the educators who will be debating and discussing this topic. And I would extend a warm welcome to all of you. And the first question I would like to pose to Dr. Reshma. What teaching methods or frameworks do you think are best suited to integrate with emerging technologies like AI, VR, or adaptive learning technologies?
Thank you so much, Dr. Manila ma'am, for this relevant question. Before I could answer this, first of all, I'd like to thank and congratulate Education Today for this beautiful setup. I have been seeing them year after year, contributing and motivating us educators. So thank you for creating this wonderful platform and giving us always the encouragement to contribute more in the field of education. Congratulations to you. Thank you so much. Coming to your question, Manila ma'am, as I mentioned, a very relevant question. Thank you so much for that. We know that technology has really revolutionized or is revolutionizing education. It has accelerated or augmented the pace of learning or the delivery methods. We as educators, we are standing at an intersection where the content and pedagogy is meeting with technology. So it's no longer a question whether we are integrating technology, but it is how meaningfully are we able to integrate technology. So the success of education is not just the availability of technology, but the best framework, the teaching practices that we are using to anchor them. Since the time of COVID era, I think we are all familiar with the terms, or we have been using blended classrooms or blended learning, isn't it? Where the traditional teaching methods as well as using the digital learning platforms. So taking both along, where there is personalized learning that is happening. So this is again redefining classrooms. So blended learning, then we have the flipped classroom methods. So the flipped classroom method where, for example, we are using an AI curated video for the student to watch at home at his or her own pace, isn't it? And then the next day or the following day, we are utilizing the school hours to see that there is a lot of discussion, collaboration, or hands-on activities that is happening. So this is where the flipped classroom method, which also reiterates or shows that it's not that technology is replacing us, but it is enhancing learning and humanizing learning. We also see that there are a lot of emerging technological tools like virtual learning, reality as you mentioned, augmented reality. So these are best suited for the constructivist approach or the experiential learning, where these abstract ideas, they are made more tangible. So there is a deeper understanding for the students or learning that is happening. For example, a student is made to walk through a monument or walk through a rainforest. So there is a deeper understanding, and this is where they are constructing the knowledge or experiencing deeper understanding. Then there is another beautiful vital framework, which I would say is the universal design learning, UDL, where there is inclusion that is possible through technology. And for example, the artificial intelligence. Using that, we can convert text to making it audible or speech, convert it into a speech so that visually impaired person, student, is able to also access the learning materials. So this is where technology has helped. So the universal design learning for learning is a very essential framework, I would say. It has really removed all the barriers and made learning resources accessible for everybody. So equity or accessibility is something that we are able to really see. Other frameworks are like inquiry-based or project-based, where there is a lot of scope for research, or students are able to use data-driven to form a hypothesis, or to understand about the climate change, how it has an impact on the ecosystem or on the other parts. So this is where, again, using technology there and using this inquisitive nature, developing their creative as well as critical thinking skills, all in collaboration. This is also a beautiful teaching framework that can be adopted. And we also are aware of SAMR, that is from substitution to augmentation to modification and redefining. So this makes us responsible users of technology. There is also TPAC along with this, where technology and the pedagogy and the content knowledge all put together. For example, if we are teaching about poetry on Keats or anything, first is understanding the content. Mastery over the content is very important. And then, what is the instructional strategy that can be used? And then coming to the available technology that is there and which is best suited. So it makes us use technology in a very guided and responsible manner. Then there are other frameworks like I can say gamification, or there is also data-driven personalizations, or competency-based education. Now we see that, isn't it? Where again we are using this technology, artificial intelligence or virtual gamifications to reward or to understand the gap that is there, or what is the strength, and how we can take the learner at his or her own pace. They move from one level to the other level as they are mastering these skills. So it's not about which is the best teaching framework. It is about synergizing them. Taking the adaptability from the blended learning, or I would say the engagement from the experiential learning, inclusion from universal design learning. So it is, and also using TPAC for being responsible and implementing it. So that is where we need to look at.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reshma, for sharing your thoughts. Yes, I really, and technology are together. We need to take them together, because these days in the education system, we cannot be talk and talk. It needs to be technology bounded classrooms. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Warm welcome, Gayethri ma'am, for this panel. I would like to throw this question to you. As technology evolves rapidly, how can educators maintain focus on pedagogy, the why and how of learning, without being distracted by every new tool that comes along?
The panelists and the august audience here. A very apt question for today, but what I would want to emphasize is that a classroom today is empty without a teacher. The teacher's presence is always mandatory, because even if technology has overtaken all aspects of our daily livelihood, teaching, learning, chalk and talk method, the eye-to-eye contact with a student is very, very important. The human touch, the human observance. So if the teacher learns this tool, if the teacher learns to have an eye contact with everybody and ensure that she has substance in her teaching, whether she or he has substance in her teaching, brings in new ideas into the classroom and makes a very minimal use of technology, I think that would definitely have an impact. Now, gone are the days where we believe that marks, scores are be all and the end all of school's existence. The other day I was watching a very good friend of mine from Mumbai have a discussion that in his school there are no, even if there are tests and exams, the PTM is before the tests and exams, and in the PTM, the child, usually what we do is we give a list of portions telling that in math we have 4 chapters, in English we have 2 chapters, etc., etc. So here, the child is going to speak to the parent and tell the parent, this is the portion, and in this, in algebra, we have angles, and angles, the teacher has just thought as probably a right angle and obtuse angle, and this is what I have understood of it. So this is how the child explains the portions for the test. The parent understands, yes, my child is aware of what is happening under the chapter angles, and when the exam test is given, even if the child doesn't score well, the parent knows that this child has understood the chapter. Probably it was not his day, and that's why he or she has not attempted it. So you see, this particular school, this particular teacher has gone on a different path to ensure that the stress on learning for the test and exam is minimized to the optimum. There's a different approach. So today what we are looking at is a test doesn't mean that you need to by heart. There is nothing that would emphasize the child to get back to the root method of learning. So the teacher putting the heart, soul and mind into every chapter, every page and making the class lively. I think that definitely would want children to listen to her, to be sure that they are present for her class, and that ensures that technology will not have much of a role to play. So passion, passion, passion for teaching is the formula.
Yeah, rightly said, Dr. Gayethri. The human touch can be given only by a teacher. I think teacher cannot be replaced. Teacher will be there because human touch comes only from the teacher. And the next question to Dr. Sarada, how do you ensure that technology enhances rather than replaces the human elements of teaching?
Thank you, Manila. First of all, I think I'm very well put in, and Reshma, you have thrown a lot of light into a lot of areas where the teachers can learn. So I'm not going to tell all those things. I'll tell you a story. I told her, whatever question you will ask, I'll talk about a cow and my father has a cow. Okay, so the story is this, that it seems Japanese were it's not a story, it's a small information. Japanese are very fond of fish, that also seawater fish, okay? And suddenly the fish eating consumption has come down in Japan. So they did a lot of research. They found that Japanese started feeling that the fish which are actually, they are fished and put into these cold storages are not having the taste. Once again they are sold. So that is the reason Japanese stopped eating fish. So this time what they did, they put the sea water into the containers and directly from the sea they take the fish and put it into the sea water. Yeah, everybody started eating fish, but after some time again the fish consumption went down. Now what happened? Everybody asked each other, again one big research went on, and then people told that we are not liking this fish even though it is put into the sea water, there is no taste. Now you are bringing the sea fish, putting it into the sea water, bringing no taste, what happened? So they did a research. They found that surprisingly, these fish are lacking the taste because once you are putting them into the container, they are very complacent and they are just floating, not swimming. Since they are not swimming, the taste is gone. Now what do you do to make this fish swim constantly so that the taste will be there? What a question it is. So they work, and what did they do? They have put a shark in it. Now every fish started swimming for life and the taste came back, consumption went high. Now what has that got to do with the question she asked? Now the shark is AI. Yeah? Now the fish have to swim because the AI is empowering the children more than the teachers. Some 12, 10, 15 years ago, the panel discussion we were there, they were saying always 20th century teachers, 21st century students. We are still the same. Yeah? And now 22nd, 23rd, 25th is coming. So, COVID proved that we are quite technology savvy. So, AI is the shark. Now, to my knowledge, there are 100 tools we can use, to my knowledge. So, my grandson's knowledge, who is 10 years old, there may be 1,000, which I do not know the remaining 900. Now, the teacher is also like that. Teacher may be better than me, being younger to me. Okay. Now, what should the teacher do? The shark is already there. Why should the teacher do? I'll give you one small example, another small anecdote. Some 15 years ago, I was in a review meeting in the management and suddenly I had a severe gastric pain, which comes like some heart attack, you will sweat and all. So my chairman, vice chairman, everyone got scared. They have put me into the car and rushed me to one hospital, nearest hospital that time, just new area. So they put me in emergency and one new nurse was there with the head nurse. So the head nurse told her, give her pan. So head nurse, I don't know what happened. She only went and gave me the pan injection and she said, take ECG. This lady went away, head nurse. No, the girl brought the ECG machine and she saw. Then it has all those bulbs kind of things. She looked everywhere. She kept 2 bulbs on my toes, 2 bulbs on my wrist, and whatever remaining, she has a spread all over my body. If at all you have undergone ECG, you know what she is doing. Now there are 4 clips also are there. Yeah? She was holding it, and again she went down, she kept it to the whatever place left on my toes and on my one hand. She was keeping that in one hand and she was looking at me. I became very naughty by then, my pain went away. I thought I'll pull her legs. So I have shown my nose. And she was ready to put. Then the head nurse shouted at her. This is true. I was at split ends, laughing. The head nurse shouted at her. Then she told, please ma'am, don't mind. She's a new girl. She has come as an intern. I had to teach her. Now your students are like me. They want to pull your legs. You do not know. I mean, you hear your teacher. Now she is standing with the bulbs and clips, and the student comes with 100 questions from AI. I want to trouble my teacher, ask questions. So, now what the teacher should do is, she should also adapt to the AI. She told 100 things what the teacher can do. I am telling you, how many teachers are aware that there is something called Discord, which is actually something, an alternate to our WhatsApp. Yeah? And normally we call Reddit as one of the troublesome, whatever the mail or the chatting area, but it has maximum of the knowledge. Many of us may not know. If you know, I love you for that. And how many of us know Rust is one of the computer languages? I don't know. Somebody from university told me, if somebody tells you that they are using Rust, they are not rusting. They are actually using a computer knowledge. So, the teachers have to take it up. But the teachers should always know that this is a shark which is making me alive. But I should ensure the shark doesn't eat me. Then only I will be the master of the class. I will ensure the class will always be live with the shark in the class.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarada, for the beautiful story. Forget the shark, and of course, we need to leave the shark with the teachers. That is definitely essential because these days children know much more than the teachers. Children are very intelligent, children are very bright. Sometimes it's a challenge to the teacher to be in the classroom. But whatever it is, we as teachers, we cannot say no to any question that the child asks. We have to get back to the children with the answer. Thank you so much for sharing this thought. My next question to Ms. Ciny. Which skills should schools prioritize today to prepare students for jobs and challenges that they did not yet exist?
Thank you so much for this question, ma'am. Good morning to everyone. Yes, when we were kids, we did not even expect this kind of a technology spurt that is happening now. And our parents somehow brought us up, our teachers brought us up too. And we are here, trying to manage, trying to conquer AI, like how Sharma was saying. The thing is now, whatever we see now is not what we are going to expect in the future. It's much more than we can even imagine. I think all these movies that come out on AI and stuff like that are kind of becoming, they all look prophetic now. A lot of things are coming to pass. So how are we preparing our students as educators? I feel not just teaching them about AI or teaching them to be proficient with AI is enough. We should make them strong enough to handle whatever comes in the future. Emotional intelligence is one of the most important things that we have to impart to our kids. Help them to critically think, help them to be able to solve problems, help them to be resilient. When we were kids, I always said this, when we were kids, our parents taught us to do small chores at home. Be it small, but we were all doing something at home, which actually helps us with our decision making, small decisions that we take, even when we are doing small little cooking. We do a lot of decision making. If our kids are exposed to those kind of things, I feel as they grow, decision making is one of the most important skills that they need to have. And somehow, in the middle of all of these things that are happening around us, we are forgetting those little things that we can, help our children grow up with. We are making them inefficient in handling real life problems, but making them very efficient in handling everything that is virtual. So I feel as educators, we should be able to help our kids come up with that too. And of course, AI and digital literacy is something that we have to keep our school doors open to, and shutting it off is not an option at all. We will have to embrace it and make the best use of it to educate our kids.
Thank you so much for these skills, something that we need to inculcate in children. Apart from teaching or preparing the children for the examination point of view, I think we must strengthen our children with skills. Because sometimes parents do come to school, my child had a fall in the school and comes in so concerned and asking. So you must tell that parent, doesn't matter, let the child fall, let him get up, let him fall again, get up, get hurt. But let him stand on his own feet. That is what is important these days. Because these days parenting has become very petted and pampered. Because as parents, they also have a challenge in parenting. At the same time, parents are so busy they do not have time to spend, give time for their own children. So that is where, parents show that they are more concerned with their children. They come right to the school whenever the small incidents do happen. But we must talk to the parents, tell them with the skills that are very, very important, and that will help them in the long run. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. My next question to Ms. Vamsheepriya, madam. What strategies have you seen work to make digital learning more inclusive for students with the diverse needs and backgrounds?
Thank you, Manila, for that question. And good morning to everyone. I would like to start off with something which Ms. Ciny had stopped off. We are all talking about NEP 2020, we are talking about experiential learning. We certainly are benchmarking the cognitive knowledge back in school. I'm sure most of the educators who are here in this gathering would accept that. I think experiential just a few days back. Back in the chamber, they asked me one question. Ma'am, how are the reflective questions going to look like? Because we say experiential learning is not only hands-on, it's minds-on. I did say certain things and I said, probably this analogy may help you, my dear children, and told them the tawa, the pan, basically where we pour the atta, the batter, is hot. You touched it, your cognitive knowledge, your medulla oblongata, they mentioned the reflex action is I take away my hand. Am I right? So that was the first thing we encountered, taking away our hand. Then that is the what part of it. What happened? It was hot and I moved my hand. Right? How will you know next time it is going to be hot or not? Ma'am, I'm not going to touch any hot things. But how are you going to know whether it is hot or not? Did we learn this back in school? As one of the panel members did mention, our experiences were so rich enough to observe what the elders did. I think we sprinkled water first on the tawa to make sure to know whether the tawa is hot or not. That gave us a feeling the tawa is hot, ready to cook my dosa, which is edible and I can have. Coming back to the question which was asked. So this is revolving around what, how and why. Coming back to what Reshma ma'am did mention right at the beginning, UDL framework. To encourage the inclusivity in classrooms, I think we've all come up with CAST's UDL framework, which revolves around this what, how and why. CAST is an acronym for Center Affiliated for Special Technology. And it has come up with 3 different principles for UDL. Universal, diverse for learning, or it can be a differentiated mode of learning, in which 3 important multiple modes would answer your what, how and why. What are we going to do in the classrooms with this universal, diverse for learning? How and why are we doing it? Multiple modes of representation is extremely important in a classroom. What are we going to do as teachers, as educators, as co-learners, or as partners in education for children to learn in a classroom is multiple modes of representation. Now this can come with different digital platforms, coming back to that later. Now let me come back to how. Multiple modes of action and expression. How are we going to make the child's representative facts, procedural knowledge, conceptual knowledge come alive through their actions, through their expressions, which covers most of the passionate skills which my panel members were mentioning. So the how part of it should engage the children back in classroom. So how do we engage? Multiple modes of presentation. That answers your why. Why are we doing this multiple modes of representation, then action, expression, as well as presentation? Now coming back to, agreed, these all can remain as research, these all can remain as scientific learning, but how are we going to make it very organic and back in our classrooms is very important, for which we are assisted with digital platforms. Maybe Canva AI, maybe Google Classrooms, maybe the Microsoft assistive learning, which is very, very important. Now why is this assistive learning important? Because it helps children to get into the asynchronous mode of learning. When we say asynchronous mode of learning, it gives them the time, the pace of learning, equally supported by blended learning, wherein the teachers are hand-holding them back in classrooms, they are not left alone. So that comes with the digital platform. Now the digital content part of it, how to make it inclusive in a classroom. Not every child is accustomed with what is running as a video within 1.5 minutes and pouring up questions back in classrooms. How am I going to make the child who is still in the tier 1 stage to be lifted to tier 3 stage? Differentiated instructions has to creep in. How do I make this differentiated instruction? Give them delivered back to the children on those digital platforms to make sure that the asynchronous methods become very comprehensive and a part of their learning instead of learning becoming a monster. Lastly, to say digital presentation. MindUp is there for mind maps. I still remember, some of my colleagues are here, back 15 years back when we were just teachers, we used mind maps in a large scale. Graphic organizers, TTF taught us to use graphic organizers in a large scale. But now we have assisted technology which will help us to bring in those mind maps, graphic organizers quite visible, and where children enjoy doing it all by themselves, keeping all the multiple intelligences of the child. So I feel if at all we are aligning ourselves and understand, deep dive into UDL, Universal Diverse for Learning, and the principles of learning, a lot of benefits can be achieved actively in classrooms. So we come back with what, how, and why, and it will be a thorough experiential learning. A differentiated learning, instruction, and education in classrooms will spring beautifully and uplift those Tier 1 children back to Tier 3, not leaving us not knowing what to do with the bimetallic strip which is there in my iron box or in my geysers, and they're not working. I'm an engineer sitting back at home, but asking an outsider to come and fix it, who is a fifth class? I think that answers.
Thank you so much. Yes, diversified teaching and learning is very essential in the classroom these days, because we do have children where we focus on inclusivity. Of course, there are clear guidelines that we cannot deny admission for any student based on the disability. So we have to have children with various different styles of learning in a classroom. And of course, technology comes very handy there to helping out these children to enhance their learning skills. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Vamsheepriya. My next question to Dr. Gayethri. Is there a danger of tech fatigue among teachers and students, and how schools can manage that?
With the alpha generation of students in schools who are already tech savvy and are on multiple social media platforms, the teacher ensures that she is more popular than her colleague. And how does she do it? Is she or he too being on the social media platforms. And whether we are ready to digest it or not, politics is there in the staff room, politics is there in the classroom as well. This is in Hindi what we call as kadwa sach. So being popular is what a student aspires for today. It could be through good, bad or ugly means. And similarly, the teacher also being on social media platforms. See, in our days, we only knew who our teacher was. We never would get to know, is she married, is she not married, who her children are, how does her husband look, how does she look differently when she's not in a sari or in a western attire. Today there are no secrets kept. When teachers start posting their personal photographs on social media, obviously she would want her followers to look at it, and children get an insight into what exactly is happening in her, with her, in her family, her children, etc., etc., etc. So I think, like the students have fictitious accounts, the teacher also can have and never reveal her identity, and ensure, even if she has to be on social media platform, not allow the students to be a part of her social media platforms, thereby maintaining her dignity and her privacy as well. And with that, I think the inquisitiveness with the student would continue to remain like it was during our days. So I would say no for staff being on social media. Thank you.
I agree with you, because I do tell generally whenever we go for any sessions, we do tell and talk about this, because we teachers are teachers for 24/7. It is not only when we are in the classroom. In the morning, the child will meet in the classroom and we, good morning ma'am, the child will say. In the evening, the same child will meet the teacher in the marketplace. he will say again, good evening ma'am, he will not say good evening auntie. So our teachers are there, we have teachers 24/7. So it's very, very important what post we upload on our social media. It needs to be dignified. It needs to be, kept us in high respect as we are educators. So that is something which we need to talk to the current generation of teachers who are very fascinated in uploading the post immediately whatever they have done. But something, we need to put it in their mind. Whatever posts go up on social media, give that, dignified look for the people who reads it. That is something that's very, very essential. And with the closing note, because I already got intimation that its time is up, so I just want each one of you in one sentence to give me the closing remark on this particular topic. Yeah.
Thank you. Please look at the shark which is there and keep yourself alive. AI is here to be there, but you are the master of AI. AI is not your master. That's it.
Shall I go for it? Yes, please. I think with the digital content coming up, and as ma'am said, I will quickly grab the mic because AI is extremely important. One needs to live with it because obviously it's going to elevate you. We have to also get uplifted with it. But yes, keeping the sustainable goals in mind, if we can use this AI in sustaining those harvests and bring that agriculture part of it as an important blessing, I think that would be great because that part of it is totally forgotten. So if we can use the technology to raise different crops and these due to a lot of calamities, natural disasters, we've lost quite a lot of it which need to actually harvest during seasons. So if we can use it and we can sustain those harvests, then I think we are somewhere trying to challenge ourselves against AI. That is one. Thank you. Pedagogy should drive technology. It should not be the other way. So that's where we need to invest on teachers and empower the educators to foster a culture of learning in the country.
Yeah, rightly said.
So I would like to leave with this one note. It is not the method that our students need to remember. It is the message that we are getting across to them. So we use a lot of methods. We use AI, we use a lot of digital tools to convey different concepts, various methods. But then, are the children remembering the concept or only the method? I think that is what we need to take.
Yeah. While we were in school, we used to have a class called moral science. And our sisters would teach us what is good, what is bad through this period called moral science. Later on, we graduated into having value-based education, wherein stories from Panchatantra and other fables were brought into the classroom, and morals and values were taught. Today, AI is there to stay. It will continue to stay. What we need to teach our children is the same value-based education, moral education, but from the context of AI, telling what are the apps that are right for you, what are the apps not right for you, what you can use, what you should not be tempted about, and even if there are aliens or XYZ coming and forcing you to take up a particular tool in AI, your moral classes, your value classes should let you distinct between a yes and a no, a good or a bad. And I think that is the need of the hour, where value-based education through AI, for AI and from AI should be the norm. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you panelists for sharing your thought. Yes, of course, technology is going to live here, but we need to teach the children the ethical use of technology, and we must tell the teachers, they are the heart and soul of the classroom, and they are the ones who are going to connect heart to heart with the children. Technology is just a tool to enhance the learning in the classroom. So thank you so much. I hope the audience enjoyed the conversation as much as we spent time here together discussing about it. Thank you so much for giving us so much.
I thank all the panelists for sharing their insights and thoughts on the topic. I would now request Mr. Anil Sharma and Mr. Anish Bangya from claps and cheers can be louder, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a huge round of applause once again for all the panelists, ladies and gentlemen. I would request Mr. Anil Sharma and Mr. Anish